planners and bullet journals, art projects, organized planner chic.
Well, hello, Planner Babes, and welcome to Organized Planner Chic. I'm Lucinda, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do so and select the bell for notifications. I publish 1 to 2 recorded videos per week on planning, junk journaling, craft room organization, and related shopping hauls. I also post an additional live video most weeks. And I want to thank all my Patreon members who help make it possible to create videos like this. Well, thank you guys so much, and if you're interested in supporting me on Patreon, just go to patreon.com/organizedplannerchic. Okay, everyone, this is an A5 Stalogy that we're going to be using to set up for my Bible study and sermon notes for our new home church, which I'll tell you about here in a minute. I have used Stalogies before. In fact, I use one right now for art every month that I create a piece for my Patreon members, and I love them. They come in black, red, and a light blue. I'm not sure if they've added colors, so if you're aware, let us know in the comments below. But they have beautiful, amazing paper. It's really thin, like rice paper, but it's super smooth. It's like the same paper that's in the Hobonichi notebooks and planners. If you're aware of Hobonichi, they have Tomoe River paper. I don't believe this is the exact same paper in terms of brand. I don't think it's Tomoe River, but it's the same quality. It feels the same to me. And I have both Stalogies and Hobonichis, and so the paper is so thin. It works really well. It covers so much, and it takes everything well, watercolor, all of that, except for like alcohol markers. And so I am showing you guys a cover that I made a long time ago. I made it as a traveler's notebook, so the hole that's there for the elastic in the center, I removed that because I'm going to use it as a folio, but I left the elastic that's in the inside there, and I made a pin loop as well back when I made this, and it holds A5 planners really, really well, especially the A5 Stalogy. And so that is what I'm going to use as my cover. I'm not going to add any elastic. I'm just going to use it as that, and you'll see later I'm going to be adding something around it that kind of helps it stay closed if I need to, but I don't think that I will need to. So the very first page is there in the front. You know, it's basically how it's bound together. I was kind of contemplating if I was going to write anything or draw anything on that, but I decided not to. So those will just be kind of tucked into the cover there, and then I'll start after that. So my husband and I have been putting on our heart for some time. Oh, I want to tell you really quick about this. So you'll see that later. That is the pin case, the stuff that I'm going to take with me when I go into the room for church, and so we'll look at that again a little bit later. So I'm just using a stencil. I have 2 different sets of stencils. One is from the 99-cent only store back when everything, or not everything, but back when a lot of stuff like this was still 99 cents, and then the other ones are from Walmart, and I don't remember which are which. They were 6 for 99 at the 99-cent store, and they were like less than $1.99, I think, at Walmart. And so my husband and I have started a home church, and I think this will be the 4th week, and it's called A Place Along the Way, and that's actually what Christianity, people who were following Christ soon after his resurrection, that's kind of how they referred to the faith, was along the way or along the path to Christ, kind of, before they were called Christians, because they were first referred to as Christians at Antioch. So that's a little bit of church history for you guys. And so we started it at home, and so we are doing 1 week is a regular sermon, and the alternate week is Bible study, also on the same subject matter, the same topic, or the same book of the Bible, or doctrine, whatever it may be that we're doing on Sunday. We're continuing that on the Bible study weeks. So I just put a little label there, and I messed up a little bit, so I used some washi tape. And now I'm using another one of my stencils here to put a little header here at the top for the index. So I'm setting it up like in a bullet journal style. So I'll have an index to refer to how I can find what I need to find as I'm studying and referencing material here in this Stalogy. So the the sticker, or not the sticker, the template or the stencil has really nice openings, but it's kind of flimsy. I mean, it's not super flimsy, but it's not super strong, so you have to really hold it down. So in the future, not in this video because I didn't do that, I'll use washi tape to kind of hold it down to make it a little bit easier. And so I am breaking it up into the index into a few categories. If you hear pages turning, it's because I can't see as well while I'm doing this voiceover on the screen as to what the writing says, so I'm holding the Stalogy right now to look at as reference, and I might need to turn a page. So I'm going to have 4 sections, but I'm going to realize a little bit later that I need a 4th section, so you won't see it probably in the beginning. But the first section is for doctrine, so there I'll just put, and at first, I don't remember if I changed yet. Oh, you guys hear the train. If you're familiar with my channel, you know there are train tracks right by me. So I'm going to write, so I wrote in doctrine, and that's good because I don't think I'll need as much space there to add pages, but I may be wrong, so we'll see as we go along. I might need to add more space later for doctrine. But at first I wrote number 2, which is, I'm using a stencil for that as well, by Books of the Bible, and that's still correct also. It's number 3 I think that I had to change. And so sometimes during sermons, during messages, and sometimes there'll be individual messages or sermons or Bible study where the topic will be about specific doctrine or how we approach studying the Bible, etc. And my husband is the pastor and so forth. But sometimes it will just be brought up during other sermons about a particular book of the Bible or a particular topic. And so I'll just put those pages there. And so there we have under that, Books of the Bible. So right now you'll see in a little bit we are in the book of John, and we're going to do an in-depth study of that, and also part on the alternate weeks continuing that study with the Bible study weeks. And then there'll be some different things interchanged in between there, and we'll get right back to that study. And so then I'm going to put number 3 on a different page. So I gave myself more room by continuing by Books of the Bible on the next page, because I think I'm going to need, to be able to add books until this whole book is completed, this whole Stalogy, because it has so many. I think it's 365. I think this is a Stalogy 365 is what it's called. So it's 365 pages, and the pages are really thin. So then I just put on the next one, continue, Books of the Bible continued. So now we're going to the next page, but I took a minute to write some page numbers. I think I'm going to need to change them here in a little bit, or I might have already done that. And so like in the very beginning, I'm going to have the lowercase Roman numerals I, and then 2 I's for 2, and then 3 I's for 3, etc. before we get into the actual content following the index. So I'm putting a title here, or header here on the next page for 3. So we've got doctrine, and then by Books of the Bible is number 2, and then number 3 is by subject. And so I just put index again on there, and underneath that I wrote continued. And then I will need, what do I need to do? Oh, yeah, what I'm doing right here is I was just adding the book that we're starting with, which is the book of John, for our Books of the Bible study, or actually I think we're focusing a little bit now particularly on the Gospels, yeah. And so then I'm just adding the page numbers with those changes. And so then I'm going to go ahead and put this first tab in here for under this section by Books of the Bible for the book of John, or the Gospel of John. And these tabs come from Dollar Tree. I believe there's 12 in a pack. I don't have them right by me, but yes, I just turned and saw it. There are 12 in a pack, but they're really wide, and I don't need them to be that wide. So I can make up to 3 tabs from this one single tab, and they're removable and replaceable. And so that way you have basically 36 tabs, yeah, we're $1.25 from Dollar Tree. And so yeah, I'm just putting this on here. And then I'm going to round the corners. I intended, or I wish I thought about, because I've used these before on other things, but I didn't think at this point in time to round the corners before I put it down. And I also didn't think about how I could just remove it and round the corners and put it back. That's crazy. So I wound up cutting a little bit of the page that I don't know if you'll notice that, but later I just put some tape around where I had cut it, yes. And so now I'm just going to write the little abbreviation for John, which I also could have done before I put it on the paper. So that would be easier if you're considering doing this. And so then that marks that tab. So we've got John there, and I am going to be adding notes to this. You'll see that in the video where I will go off the video and add a bunch of notes from the sermons, and then you'll be able to see how everything is really set up. So then with John, I flipped from the title tab and I'm making a little title page, and I just put that washi tape where I messed up a little bit, and I think it looks just fine. Okay, now I am just creating a couple of little headers for the top to divide the cover, well, not cover, so the cover, there's John there on the left, and then on the right I kind of have a cover for the content that sort of summarizes what's behind it. So I'm going to have one side that's for the writing, like this is a summary of what this was written about, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later, and then especially when I show you the notes. And then on the other side it's going to be about the author. And so, you know, sometimes there are disagreements, or more people think one way or another about who the author might be of something, and so that kind of stuff is going to be on there. So I'm just kind of doing that. I put a little dot to divide that in half, and then I forgot to do the very top so I just needed to add that little line on there to take care of that. Yeah, and so that's how each book will be set up. And then we turn from there, and then I need to put a couple of headers for, just if I'm flipping through this, I can easily see which book I'm talking about or which subject I'm talking about, kind of like with a dictionary, encyclopedia or whatever. And so there on the left and on the right, I'm going to write the Gospel of John. I think at first I put the Book of John, and then eventually I changed it to say the Gospel. I mean, it is a book. It's one of the books in the Bible, but the fact that it's a gospel is significant. So yeah, and I thought I would eventually put lines at the bottom, and I'm sure that I will. So, and that reminded me to go and flip to another page and just continue the heading there for the category 3, which is the subject matter. Now, everything else I did off camera, but this is how it's set up. It's going to include my notes in here and a few other things I thought of adding after I was off camera. And so, yeah, so here at the bottom left, you see I've got a little legend there with some different color highlights for highlighting things that I want to be able to reference very easily, and I'm just flipping through it for myself right now so I can see clearly, you guys. So I have one for definitions, scriptures, names, and sermon dates. Yeah, and so I don't need to store my highlighters anywhere else because I keep them here on my case for my Bible. So I just take that with me into the room, and all of my highlighters are already there. So when I show you my pencil pouch and thing that's holding all of my washi tape, well, actually don't have washi tape in there right now, but that has my sticky tabs and that stuff, I won't have highlighters in there because they're on that Bible case. Yeah, and it has a handle. I was just showing you guys that. I've had it forever. I mean, probably 30 years. I got it from Avon, believe it or not. Okay, and so then this is my title page, which you guys saw me create for our church, which I'm so happy about us doing this, and we're able to really help some people in our community who aren't able to get out to be able to just walk right a few yards into our home for church. So it's really a blessing, you guys. So then here is the index, and that's unchanged. We've still got doctrine there by books of the Bible, and starting with John. I did mark a page for where there is some doctrine in there right now on page 5, so I put that there. And then we've got our headers there for books of the Bible continuing there. And then I don't know why I'm flipping at that page. Sorry about that. Oh, I renumbered. That was the thing. So I renumbered it so that I had the little Roman numerals for the whole beginning section. And then whenever we get to the actual content, then we'll start with the number 1. And so there we are with by subject. And I've got plenty of room there to add subjects and to continue with that. And then what I added off camera was definitions. So you'll see here in the back I have a whole section to add definitions. So when you're studying and learning about anything, Bible study included, or a sermon, and they say use a term that you learn as part of being in there, or that you look up later because maybe they didn't explain it while you're in there, then I have a whole dictionary section basically for definitions in the back. And then here we are for the John section. So there on the left under the writing, it's basically summarizing what's in the content on the following page. So it talks about who the audience was, what was the purpose of this particular type of writing. This is a gospel. What was the specific audience for that gospel, and what did they want to get out of it? And then under the section under that where I was moving my finger will be key points. So I'll be doing that eventually. And then the author, who's believed to be the author. Why do most people believe that this particular person is the author? If we have a good idea of the time frame that it was written by the author, it would be under that section as well. And then just a little bit about that person who wrote it. So there's some bullets on here about the Apostle John, who most people believe is the author of the Gospel of John. Yeah. And so just got a bunch of stuff written on there that kind of covers all those things. So I only have just a little bit of room if I want to add something to this summary page about John, the author, or the individual. And then here is the information that I've got. So you see there in the pink, I've highlighted the sermon date based on my legend on the previous page. Then I've highlighted all the scriptures in here that are in green from the legend. And then any name is on here. Now when it's Jesus, I didn't underline it and highlight it because there's just so many times that Jesus is going to be mentioned in here. So then all of this information is summarized on the previous page, and it didn't matter how many times the name was on here. I highlighted it, and then again the legend is there on the very front page for what I was highlighting. And then here is where I'm marking on that previous page if it's a subject, but I don't have a subject right now to put on there yet. So and then here we've got on the back page from a sermon date for doctrinal stuff. And so even though Mark and Luke and Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are names, but this is specifically referring to the Gospels there and not them as individuals. This was just some information on the Gospels, doctrine on the Gospels as a whole. And so then I've got, it'll just continue on the next page from there. After, it may be another section of the Gospel, it may be another section for the book of John, whatever it is, I'll index it in the front. And you see how many beautiful pages are in this thin paper. I don't know how long it'll take for me to fill this up, but I'm excited about it. And so then I have a tab here that says definitions. And as I was talking about earlier, when you run across something new that you learn as a definition, it could be something in Greek, Hebrew, or Aramaic that we're learning about because the Bible is written in those languages, or it could be a Christian topic. It could be a study of something just out there in the world. And so here's an example right here that I put, and I believe, because I can't see very well, let's see, I think that is under E. So let me try to flip to it while y'all are looking at it. And so that was about how you say the gospel according to Matthew in Greek, and then the part of it that has to do with calling it the good news or the New Testament. And so then then we just got a couple of other ones that I wrote on there also from the previous sermon. And so then we've got all of them all the way. These little tabs came from from Daiso in Hawaii. And I have tons of them. There's 100 sets. I'm not kidding. There's so many. And so then in addition to the planner, I have this pink pencil case that I've had forever. I have a couple of different ones with different colors of the same design from Dollar Tree that I got several years ago during back to school season. I've got a bunch of my Energel pens in there, my Pentel Energel pens, and then a little sticky tab, the square one, for if there's a question that I want to ask during Bible study and I want to write it down, and then a smaller little tab of sticky tabs for whenever there's maybe a definition or something. Well, before we close today, I want to let you guys know that I am on Instagram at Organized Planner Chic, where I post all of my creative ventures and adventures. I also have 2 Facebook groups. The one for anyone around the world is called Organized Planner Chic Crew, and the local one is called Phoenix Planner Friends for Christ. Okay, you guys, I also wanted to let you know that my really rough notes that I take during sermons and Bible studies are actually in a traveler's notebook, and I'll share with you my playlist for Bible journaling, and then I transpose them into neat stuff inside of this, or at least that's what I'm going to continue to do. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and comment and share. It really helps my channel a lot, and it tells that YouTube algorithm to recommend my videos. You guys, please take care of your mind, body, and spirit, because when one area suffers, they all suffer. Please continue to pray for me, and I'll continue to pray for you. And until next time, everyone, happy planning.